I think that everything is ultimately fixable.
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Walter, this might seem like a bad question for a trading podcast, but when do you think it's time to like throw in the towel and just say, I should quit trading and maybe this isn't for me?
The biggest thing that works against traders is impulse control. So if you have a hard time controlling your impulses in all aspects of life, so that maybe like drug abuse, cheating on your wife, like things where you can't control yourself, overeating or things like that. If getting into fights real easily, like if you see that pattern, then it's probably unlikely you're going to be able to hold the fort down when it comes to risk with trading. And in fact, I spoke to a trader recently who had these issues. The problem was he made a lot of money. So I told him I couldn't help him. Like he came to me for help, and I said, "Look, I think you're going to blow up." And I said, "I can't help you. I think I know." And that's really what I was seeing. Now, having said that, if you've identified that impulse control is an issue, you can work on it, right? But I would not trade while I was working on my impulse control, right? I would get that sorted first. So yeah. So if you're the profile, I think that is least likely to succeed would be someone who has impulse control issues. And again, you'll see that repeatedly in different domains of your life. And the person who is most likely to be good at trading is someone who loves playing games, like games of strategy, or you know what I mean, like really into like figuring out. My son's really good at it, actually. He'll play like games at where they play like tag or prisoner tag or whatever, and he'll skirt the rules where he's technically doing something that's like within the rules, but not really. Like he'll act like he's already been tagged, for example, and walk back to the jail or whatever. And then he'll let out all his friends because, if they're in jail, if you tag them, then they can come out, So he does things like that. And he does it it's so funny. So like things like that. And like there's a really good example of the guy who wrote the 4 Hour Work Week. I forget his name. Tim Ferriss. Yeah, Tim Ferriss. Yeah. He's like that, right? He thinks like that. So if you read the book, he talks about how he was like a kickboxing champion or something in Taiwan or something like that, right? And what he did was he dehydrated himself so that at the weigh-in he was in a really low weight, much lower than he should be weight class, and then when it came to the tournament, he would rehydrate and everything, which a lot of wrestlers and boxers and people do that, right? But then because he was so much bigger than the little guy that he was in the kickboxing thing, all his strategy was to push them out of the ring. And then they would lose. You know what I mean? Like they would default. That's all he was doing. He was just didn't know anything about kickboxing. All he did is he wanted to get in there with a small guy and push him out of the circle, and he became champion that way. You know what I mean? So that's an example of the kind of mindset that does well. That's my thinking, is that's what works, and then that what tends to not work. What are your thoughts on when you should quit?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that everything is ultimately fixable. Like even if you have one of those really strong impulse control issues, I think that's fixable, but it's going to be a big uphill battle, and it's going to be a matter of if you want to fix those things or not. And I think it ultimately comes down to, deep down, do you really, really want to do this? And if you do, then I think you will figure it out. I think if your heart is actually somewhere else, then I think maybe it's better to go do that. I think it really comes down to conviction and do you really want to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true, isn't it? About a lot of things. Like if you just think, I'll try it for a while and then we'll see, versus I got to make this work. It's a big difference, isn't it? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I think like what you said, if you're the type of person who likes to figure things out, then I think this would be like a puzzle to you, right? And you would find it interesting. But if you're just trying to make money, then, then it's probably not. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Walter.
Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.